Reimagining Reference, Adapting to Changes Within the Public Library Reference Desk by Storm Boyer. Public library reference often includes many different duties. One of the most known duties is answering patron questions. However, what is typically thought of as a substantial reference question is no longer the prominent duty of a reference librarian. Instead of answering questions about specialized topics, reference desk staff often answer directional questions. Substantial reference questions still exist within public libraries, but not as much as one would think, being that their title is reference desk. Therefore, a change in title is suggested based off of my observation findings at Library X. Reference librarians and reference desk should adopt their duties into their name by changing them to information desk and information librarian. According to the Reference and User Services Association, reference transactions are information consultations in which library staff recommend, interpret, evaluate, and/or use information resources to help others to meet particular information needs. In this light, reference requires substantial skills and evaluation of resources in order to answer questions accurately. Ready Reference is a type of reference service that some public library reference desks may practice. It is the provision of short factual answers to highly specific questions. However, I say that only some public library reference desks practice this service because Ready Reference is rapidly becoming a smaller, insignificant component of the reference librarian's duties. Public libraries now do not typically prepare Ready Reference questions such as, "Can you freeze cheese?" From my interview with Librarian A, they enlightened me on their view of Ready Reference questions when they stated, "I wish we got more Ready Reference questions. I always get so excited when I get a question like that, like I'm actually doing what my job says I do." I spent almost 2 weeks observing Library X, a public library that is part of a larger system. It is still a single branch within a 13-branch library system. Throughout those 2 weeks of observing Library X's reference desk, only one substantial reference question was asked. A young girl walked up to the desk with her mom and her younger sister and asked, "I need a Halloween costume, but I want it to be based off of a historical fiction book. Do you have any suggestions?" Librarian C, a public services librarian who was on reference desk duty at one point, told me, "We don't get many real reference questions. It's mainly directional questions and technology help we get here." Around 32% of the questions asked at the reference desk were directional, such as, "Where is this book?" or "Where is the printer?" Around 20% of the questions pertained to patron account services, such as placing holds or looking at problem items. But an astonishing 37% of questions dealt with technology questions, such as, "Can you help me send an email?" or "I'm having trouble connecting to your Wi-Fi." Around 6% of questions dealt with library policies and events, such as, "Can I have an event ticket for a program going on today?" Especially in Library X's case, public libraries are seeing a trend of dwindling substantial reference questions. During my observation at Library X, I noticed that they had a rather large print reference collection. I asked Librarian A if the print reference was used much at the library. They said, "I don't use them, I never pick them up." When I mentioned the pill book to the head librarian, one of the books that was on the reference collection shelf, they took the book in their hands, tossed it a little, looked at the date, and instructed Librarian A to weed it from the system. The head librarian declared, "I don't know why we even have this. No one looks at it, and it's outdated." So even the print reference, which is located right behind the reference desk, does not get used by patrons or reference desk staff. Even though print reference material isn't being utilized, it is not because of reference desk staff or because of the reference model or reference desk staff performance. It is because the techniques libraries use and the world around the reference desk are changing. The fact is, with the rise of the internet as a tool to find information, patrons no longer need to go to the library to find information. This has a significant impact on reference services in that it has probably led to widely reported decrease in a number of queries in traditional reference desks. Because answers can be readily available to patrons, they no longer need to ask reference questions at the reference desk. Ironically, the public library reference desk probably is a large reason why the amount of substantial reference questions has decreased. The reference desk has adopted a new duty: technology assistance and instruction. In this way, the reference desk staff have created more digitally literate patrons, giving them the freedom and knowledge to learn how to perform these technology situations themselves. With all this in mind, I propose for the abolishment of reference and reference librarians. I'm not saying to get rid of the actual desk and employees. Instead, I'm suggesting a change in position title and name. Because reference infers traditional and substantial reference questions and transactions, and these types of services are no longer a prominent duty for reference desk staff, it is fitting for a change. Because of reference desk and reference librarians in public libraries today have adjusted how they spend their time with patrons, handling a wide variety of different types of questions, the term to replace reference should be information. The word information is a broad term, which is precisely why it works in this instance. The reference desk now deals with broad and vastly different types of questions and services. As observed at Library X, reference desk staff have to be reference librarians, technology assistants, knowing of library programs and policies, homework helpers, and information specialists. This is not the first time the library world has heard of getting rid of reference. Libraries are seeing a shift from reference desk to information desk in order to provide immediate answers to many patron questions at a visible service point. It almost seems as if there is nothing that is not in their job description in today's library world because of the vast amount of duties these librarians cover. Because reference librarians deal with all sorts of information, it is only fitting that they adopt the name information librarians.